Clean it this way. You need 3 tables.
No. Oh, this one work. The one I'm using. Appreciate it. All right, guys, we'll rock and roll. How y'all doing today? Sure, I'm trying to get the online too. What platform are you using? What platform? Google Zoom? Okay. They just won't be able to see my slides though.
Can you do duals with?
That's a good question. Never have.
Listening. Tested, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see the FaceTime?
Have you used Zoom before? Because I was just asking you one way to see what else live.
Cute shoes. Cute shoes. They're $5 at Target, just saying. Really?
No,
You bought them recently? No, whenever like
oh,
spring is over and the winter comes in, I love this stuff. Those are really
cute.
Yes.
Yeah. You want to, that's all I'm gonna say.
You're like right now?
Yeah. Recently, girl, I'll get some.
Hey, Sarah.
I'm tired of it. Yeah, Target was
Good, good. We're trying to
like
see
the
the
winter was
link.
creeping up and then they put all the sandals on like
It's
where
in,
like
actually,
all your
Chris has
clothes
some
is
slides.
I'm that
So,
person, I just.
well, hold on, I'm not even sure if that's gonna be completely off the fact that his slides. Oh, yeah,
Don't worry about it.
okay, cool. No slide for you. You can just listen in, okay?
I got the cinnamon rice, you want one? Oh, okay.
Alright, cool. Well, I thought everyone would be here, but you know, there's not a lot of space there, so I can back up a little bit.
Or, you know, go get something that's good. I don't know what this is. That's fine.
What I do this? Alright guys, so quote for today. I heard this quote this weekend and I thought it was pretty cool. If you allow praise to get to your head, then you allow insults to go to your heart.
Good.
Yeah, that's something to ponder on right there. Alright, I stole that from the quote, not the quote, but the idea of having a quote of the day. Sarah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Alright guys, so it's great to be able to kick this year off and have get back in kind of this professional leadership development thing. I like this piece of being able to share and add value. So really the goal, the plan for this year is to, okay. Hey, can you guys mute? Yeah, so, well, for the guys that are new here, you know, we started this last year. You know, Thurman Shannon gave an opportunity to share, starting off, and then they asked me to continue sharing. And we went through crucial conversations, we went through emotional intelligence, a lot of things that are applicable not only in the work setting, but applicable just in life in general. You know, it's just more of a personal growth thing. Things that you can implement in life, ideas, concepts that just really help you begin to thrive. I think that this is an environment of growth, and this is just a tool that we kind of use to help facilitate, if you would, you know, just helping us grow as individuals. And that's really what today is about. You know, just a component of kind of talking about success is what I want to kind of go into. And you know, that looks different for everybody, whatever way you want to define that. But I do want to provide some type of tools for you to use. Something, I'm a thinker, so any type of way I can make some type of, you know, I can begin to analyze and think through what's the best way I can utilize my time, or think through, you know, evaluating my decisions in life. That's just how I feel like I can be most effective in life. So I'm going through a book, I'm going through several books. There's one book that I pulled a lot of this from, is 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Any of you guys ever heard of it, read it before? Dwayne, Thurman, Shannon, cool. So there is a concept in this book, and 7 Habits of Highly Effective People obviously has 7 habits. This is the first habit. Some concepts from the first habit, which is be proactive. And we'll dive into that a little more, but even before we go there, I want to talk through success, because this is one thing I've learned and realized, that success needs food. Now, it doesn't matter what you're trying to find success in, but the thing about it is, more than likely, somebody has already achieved that level of success that you want in your life. You know, someone has already created an outcome. So if you think about from the standpoint of professional, where you want to be in your professional career, whether it's a certification or a position, where you want to be in your family life, whether it's a certain marriage type of relationship you want to have, whatever area of success you're looking for, success leaves clues, meaning that people that have already achieved that level of success, they've modeled it to a degree. But the thing that was like a groundbreaking moment for me, I learned this one thing, is that principles, they lead to a predicted outcome. And what I mean by that, when you can find a principle that you can apply in your life and you can apply it consistently, it would lead to a predicted outcome. So that means that if I have an outcome that I want to achieve in life, all I gotta do is find the principle that I need to apply to and apply it consistently enough, and it's gonna lead to the outcome. It's almost like the law of gravity. It doesn't matter whether you're in North America, South America, Africa, Asia, whether you're tall or short, big or small, the law of gravity works the exact same on anybody, anywhere at the same time, unless you're in space. So, principle is the exact same thing, same concept. If you apply principle, it doesn't matter if you're white, black, male or female, whatever your socioeconomic class is, whatever your education level is, if you apply this principle, it's gonna lead to a predicted outcome in your life. You know, so this is a great way of thinking about success and the things that you wanna accomplish. I encourage you, if you have goals that you wanna accomplish even this year, this is a great way to think about it. Because think about, let's look at it from a science standpoint. If you want to, let's say someone is, working out, they want to gain weight or even lose weight. So let's say gain weight. Well, if you increase your caloric intake, if you decrease the amount of calories you're burning, that's just science. You're gonna start to gain weight. You reverse that. If you decrease your calorie intake, you increase your calories, how much you're expending, you're gonna lose weight. It's just science. It's principle. Finances. If someone is living paycheck to paycheck, they want to be in different situations. Well, they start spend less than you make, start putting some to the saving, and you do that consistently enough, it's going to lead to a certain outcome. So hopefully you guys kind of get that drift there. But that's success. Success is based on someone choosing to apply a certain type of principle in their life for a period of time to get to that outcome. So I have this question here: who do you need to become? Who do you need to become? For some of you guys here, when I was talking to Atomic Habits, we talked about with Atomic Habits, developing the right habits in your life. Part of it is self-image, and every time that you choose to do something that it reinforces that habit, it's almost like you're voting for yourself. So in a sense, you can put a positive vote in or a negative vote in. So every time let's say for instance, you want to get fit, every time you wake up early and go to the gym, you just put a vote in for yourself of becoming somebody different. So the only way that you can really get to this place in your life where you have these habits, the only way you can really get to that outcome in life, if you apply these habits consistently, is that you have to be able to see yourself at that place. That's what this question talks about. Who do you need to become? Because this is one thing I realized. The only way you can not achieve the outcome that you want to achieve is that you never become the person that you need to become to achieve that outcome. That's just it. If you never become that individual, meaning that you have to begin to change your habits. Number one, you gotta begin to change your decision making, because that's the one thing that will prevent you from becoming that person. When you think about what I just said about principles, it seems very simple. You apply certain principles, you get an outcome. Well, if it's so simple, why isn't everyone in the place they want to be? Why isn't everyone successful like they want to be? The problem is, that's a simple answer to that question as well. Their decisions. The decisions is what prevents them from getting to that place. But what prevents them from making the right decision is that becomes a little more complex, because now that's a matter of emotions, matter of attitudes, matter of mindset, paradigms, and so on and so forth. But a lot of it has everything to do with becoming that person you want to become. One thing I heard from Miles Monroe, it really stood out to me. He said that sight is a function of the eye, but vision is a function of the heart. You know, and I realized that if someone didn't necessarily have the vision of who they wanted to become, then, you know, they would never be able to really navigate it and get to that place. But when you think about having vision and having the right mindset, it's all about having the right paradigm. In this book, it talks about having a paradigm, and it gives an example. Because your paradigm is nothing but, you know, your mindset. It's really how you see the world. You know, we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. You know, so you and I, we can be looking at the same situation, and you're gonna see it in a different way, and I'm gonna see it in a different way, because we see it as we are. And our mindsets have been influenced by, you know, our child rearing, you know, our parents, our teachers, situations, all of those things have influenced us to see the world in a certain type of way. But the thing is, the thing that hinders people from, if mindset and how you see the world is one of the things that can hinder you from getting to where you want to be, then if you can begin to learn how to change your thought process and begin to see the world differently, or see yourself differently, or see other people differently, then that can begin to influence your decisions and influence your habits and help you begin to progress towards this predicted outcome. This is almost like if you're in the book, it says Chicago, in fact. It's almost as if you're in Chicago. Let's say you're in Chicago and you're trying to get down to Michigan Avenue, but you have a map, and the map is of Detroit. How many people think you're gonna be successful getting to where you're trying to get to? You know, not at all. I mean, especially if you're new to the area, and you're in a foreign city unfamiliar city, and you have a map of a different city, you're never gonna get to your outcome. That's synonymous with someone trying to reach a level of success, or reach a level of what they consider success, but they have a paradigm. Let's say, for instance, that's synonymous with someone trying to reach a place where they are debt-free and not living paycheck to paycheck, but they come from a place where they always seen poverty. You know, they have like every decision that they've always made their entire life, they've only seen it through one lens, and that I'll always be in debt, I always owe someone X, Y, and Z. So Naomi, I know she came and she spoke one time about budgeting, and she, you know, you don't mind if I share this? Well, I guess it's too late. But she went through what's the course called?
Dave Ramsey.
Dave Ramsey,
Financial Peace University.
Financial Peace University, that Naomi shared, you know, that, you know, they got to a place, you know, debt free, so on and so forth. Well, if she would have never seen herself there, she would have never been able to accomplish that. And I think that's a big thing. Like, can we see ourselves going to where we want to go to? Revolution, can we see ourselves going to, like, wherever this company, what's the vision of it, and Thurman saying they cast the vision, can we see it? You know, because if we don't necessarily see ourselves going, then we'll never be able to get to it as an organization as a whole. But individually, because when you take the pieces and you bring them together, the role that we play individually, can we see ourselves playing a role that we need to play in order to get to that place? But one of the principles is the principle of causation. So last year, a couple years ago, Thurman and I and Isha, we read a book called As a Man Thinketh by a guy named James Allen. One thing I like about this book is that James Allen begins to parallel a garden with the mind of a man. And it always amazed me how you can take a seed, take an acorn, you put it in the right environment, 30 years later you can have a large oak tree. So you can take a seed, put it in the right environment, and it's going to yield a fruit. So one thing he talks about the mind of a man is that, it's distracting me to keep saying this. But one thing he talks about the mind of a man.
The mind of a man.
Is that we have seeds in our mind, right? What are the seeds? The thoughts. You know, our seeds are the thoughts that we continually ponder upon. Those seeds planted in our mind, they begin to create fruit with just the outcome of our lives, you know, whatever we're seeing in our lives. So if you think about this same principle, because every seed produces after its own kind. You can never get an orange tree from an apple seed. You know, you can never get a peach tree from a plum seed. So every seed produces after its own kind. That's another principle, it's good to understand. So that means that if I'm getting apples and I want oranges, I need to go plant an orange tree. So that means in my life, if I'm getting a certain outcome that I don't want, then obviously I need to go back to the root cause of that, and I gotta say, okay, somewhere the wrong seeds are being planted. So I gotta change the seeds that are being planted. So I gotta change the thoughts that are in my mind, because sometimes we have soundtracks that are constantly playing. And constantly playing, constantly telling us who we are, what we can't do, and limiting us. And a lot of times we're so unaware when it comes out in our language. You know, we may say, well, I can't do this, or I won't do this, or whatever the case may be. And until you begin to gain an awareness of what you're saying, because what you're saying is, it brings attention to really what's going on here. Because what comes out of your mouth is what's really in your heart, you know, it's what's really in your thought process. So if you begin to pay attention to what you're saying and listen to yourself, it'll be revealing to you. But if we want different fruit, we gotta change our thought process, right? Well, we gotta change the seeds that are being planted. Not only do we have to change the seeds that are being planted, we gotta change the environment, because you gotta put a seed in the right environment. You know, if you put a seed in water, it's not gonna do anything. You know, if you put it in sand, it's not gonna do anything. But if you put it in the right type of soil, that's right nutrients and whatnot. So what does that look like? You know, what type of environment do we have here at Revolution? You know, is it a lot of negativity that's going around? I mean, because we have the ability to create whatever environment we want. Sometimes I think some people in some situations at work, they may not necessarily have the ability to do it, larger organization, but this is a small enough company, we on a personal enough page that no one should have negative experiences from their colleagues when they come in here, or, you know, no one is perfect now, we're not gonna get along and we're not gonna always see eye to eye in every single thing, but I'm talking about from a personal standpoint. No one should leave here feeling defeated or feeling deflated or any of those things. So the seeds, you can have positive seeds, you know, you can start reading positive books, and, you know, we can have interactions like this, or we can listen to positive information. But if you're in the wrong environment, then those seeds are not really gonna produce the fruit that you need to. But not only in this environment, home environment, whatever environments that are in your life. You guys tracking me? I'm not going too far out of the way, Emma. Okay. But planting your seed, changing the thought process, changing the thoughts that are in your mind, and then putting yourself in the right environment, it will begin to produce a different outcome in your life. But it's up to you guys to decide what is the outcome you want, and then go back and determine what seeds you need to plant. Again, finances are easy to talk about. Well, if I'm trying to get to this place financially, and I have these certain seeds that are happening in my mind, starting to read things like Dave Ramsey and going through Financial Peace University, all it does is begin to plant seeds in your mind to the point that over a matter of years, you begin to see that your habits are changing, you know, your decision making, your emotions around all of those things change. So that's the principle of causation. All right, so to delve into the book a little more about some of the things I want to talk to you guys about today. Be proactive. That's the first habit. And he was comparing someone that was proactive versus reactive. A reactive person is someone that the world is happening to them. You know, that they're the victim. Things are happening to me. Well, this patient just came late. Now it's just putting me back X, Y, and Z. Now I'm upset at this patient because the world is happening to me. You guys kind of get the drift of it? And again, a lot of it is your language is the thing that reveals it all. People that are proactive, but they may say things like, yeah, no problem, I'll make it happen. Or, yeah, that's inconvenient, man, I need to plan a little better next time. Or, you know, they are empowered because they know that a part of that they can influence to some degree if they make better decisions, if they have better habits, if they X, Y, Z. And that's the big difference here. So circle of influence and circle of concern. You guys familiar with it. Anybody else ever heard of that terminology? And Naima, you remember that to some degree from that book?
A little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mind if I call on Thurman and Naomi and Miss Shana? Or just kind of what you guys remember from circle of influence and circle of concern?
Circle of influence is something that you have control over, that you can go ahead and you make changes yourself, and then then you can see those changes start to happen.
Yeah, perfect. Absolutely. Mr. Stern. Sir.
Yeah.
You had shaker report?
Give me a book report.
Oh, really? Okay.
Perfect. I love it.
I had to call Shaker.
You had call shaker, okay.
Your lifeline?
Yes.
Sandy, you remember anything about it?
I think Naomi said it well. I mean.
Okay. So, yeah, Naomi's spot on, like the things that you can influence, specific, because there's some things that will bother you in life, but you have no control over it.
Right.
And those will fall more in the circle of concern. So, you're sitting down and you're watching television, you're watching the news, and you see all negative report after negative report after negative report, and you begin to get stirred up emotionally. Well, how much of that can you really control? You know, so, and I think sometimes people can carry different weight around in their life, but they never really thought through, okay, how much of this can I really control? And then how much of it can I really influence and how much can I not? Because when you realize you can't influence a thing, when you realize you can't influence the external thing that's going on, you can only influence yourself and how you feel about it. Then it can help you walk away with a different mindset and attitude. So this is what I want you guys to do. If you have anybody got, grab a piece of paper, if you can, paper and pen. I can,
The pictures?
pass out some typing paper.
I'll go get my notebook.
Okay, well.
Get your book card?
You need grease?
I'm sweet enough.
Oh, everybody got some?
7 habits of highly effective.
You guys good?
Yes. Because one was 7 habits of highly effective.
Very good.
Oh, Chris is recording that day.
Okay.
Are you calling your phone?
Yeah, I wish I could've got it.
Highly effective. We actually bought our son, Ira, 50-year-old, we bought him the 7 habits of highly effective. And he actually enjoys it. My wife homeschools.
Alright guys, so if you can, on your paper, you can draw 2 different circles. Draw a bigger one, you can actually write some things in. Okay, so I want you to take the time, a few minutes, just to ponder. Ponder on some things that are actually,
Should the 2 circles be separate or one circle inside the other circle?
that's a good question. You can do 2 separate circles.
There you go.
Circle.
That could be part of the activity. How do you write your circles? How do you do your circles?
Well, I know, and that, you probably picturing that, yeah, from the book. So name one of your circles, circle of influence.
Influence.
And then name your other circle, circle of concern. And, so I want you to point on a couple things. You can think about it from a work perspective. And if you want to, you can kind of explore other areas in your life. But, think about those things that are on your mind that you know, you may have been thinking about last couple of weeks or whatever, or today even. And in the circle of influence, write down those things where you feel like you actually have, to some degree, the ability to influence that situation. And then obviously in the circle of concern, write down those things where you realize that you really can't do anything about that particular situation. Not your attitude or anything, but that particular situation, you can't control anything about it.
Is this something like I don't agree with, or something that bothers me?
Yeah,
That I have influence, that I don't have influence in, and then something that I.
Yeah, those things that bother you, those things that you don't agree with, those things that, you know, you don't necessarily like, all of those things. And sometimes you may even have to, you may even realize that you write them down, you think through it, that maybe that's not in the circle of concern, and maybe that is circle of influence. So kind of think through it and differentiate.
And they can switch back and forth too.
It could,
sometimes.
some of them could be,
Yeah.
in both. Well, some of them could, portions of them could be in both. It depends on how you look at it. Yeah. Yes. Everybody good? We need a couple minutes. Alright, so guys, who would say, does anybody have, imbalance between the two circles, like more things in one circle versus more in the other? Or is it pretty balanced out? Either way, which one you have more?
Influence.
Influence, okay. Anybody have the opposite? What
Opposite.
You got the opposite? Okay. I was asking, did what were your circles pretty balanced or?
Well, as of right now, I have more influence.
More
But I'm
influence,
right
okay.
a little slow.
Are you writing with your left
Yeah,
hand?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
You need your right ears too?
No, I can write with it, it's just slower. I think that's more.
I just like how you.
You're actually very talented.
Alright, so, so
Stay
circle
calm.
of, so that may be an indication, somebody that has more in the circle of influence, may be an indication that they may be more proactive, meaning that they may, just the way they see the world, they may, they may look at things differently, as in, they are able to influence those specific situations easier or better. I mean, they may be more proactive in their thinking as far as, okay, I can do X, Y, and Z instead of X, Y, and Z, or I can do instead of I can't do, is what I'm saying. So someone that may be, what's up?
Go ahead, keep going.
Someone that had a more in a circle of concern may feel like things may be happening to me. They may feel less empowered to be able to change their situation.
Question, what if I have more in the influence, but I don't think I'm that proactive?
You don't think you're that proactive? Well,
No, I'm not proactive.
I'm not, I don't think I'm
Both
speaking
of
about
you.
proactive maybe in the sense of like doing things. I'm thinking about proactive in the sense of, the opposite of being reactive to a situation. So you can choose, like when something happens to you, you can either react to a situation or you can choose your response. Does that make sense?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, so not that type of proactive.
Oh, okay.
What did you,
Well, could it be for individuals that have more in the concern column, that you're just a thinker? That you're a forward planner, like you can think a year or two into the future. I mean, cause there's certain concerns that some people in this room might not have, but I got 3 kids gonna go to college. So, at the end of the day, I'm thinking to myself, well, how much am I gonna have to put aside? I'm thinking, now that may not be an immediate
A
need.
lot.
But you see it, so for those forward thinking, like, oh my gosh, when Taylor brings the first dude home, what am I gonna do?
right.
You know what I mean? But she's not dating. But I mean, would that be, so what are you saying? Are you saying that that person has, if you're thinking that far into the future, and those are the things that are already developing in, so you can actually develop a plan for them?
No, not at all. And you know, I said it may be an indication, it may not be an indication, it's just kind of curiosity. Yeah, so it doesn't necessarily mean that, you know, you're a victim because you're thinking about your kid's future, you know what I mean? It's just, I mean, it just could be an indication. I think once we talk about these next, like, is it a direct, indirect, or no control problem, then you better see, well, what's up there?
So what I wanted to add to that is, as far as like I had more in my circle of influence, because so this definitely shifts based off of, I think, experience, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And you know, culture, all that kind of stuff, because like I have learned over the years that, hey, there are things that I can impact more as opposed to, you know, putting on someone else, right? And so over time, that has, you know, my circle of influence has grown because I have taken more responsibility over, okay, these are the things that, you know, I really need to think about, you know, that I actually have an impact on. Like, you know, were we gonna share any of these things?
Well, you just hit, you just hit a key word, man. You said responsibility. You know, one way they broke it off, you broke it down in the book. You broke the word in response able. You know, because you're able to do a lot of situations. You're able to do something about, but a lot of times people don't choose to take responsibility for different things. Like for you, let's take you back to that example. Kids college, something that's in the future, you wrote in a circle of concern, but yet you have the ability to take responsibility for it now. Versus someone saying, man, my kid's gonna go to college, I don't have the funds now, what am I gonna do? You know, they can choose or choose not to take responsibility. So it's that factor that makes your circle of influence bigger because you choose to take responsibility for those situations that are in front of you. Now, something like circle of concern you can do nothing about, COVID. I mean, it is there, we can do nothing about COVID and having to wear masks and so on and so forth. However, you know, some things you can take responsibility for. So I think this is the whole point of this. What are the things you can take responsibility for? What are the things you can't? I got 6 minutes. Let me just talk through this real quick. So direct control. Now somebody else said, Naima, were you gonna say something more? Brenda?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I saw the college as a circle of influence, because there are lots of things you can start doing even young. Scholarships, advanced classes, all that stuff, to help get that money for college.
Not even on my list, but an example, but I was just sharing that.
Yeah.
I just thought of it.
But yeah.
So this add a little piece to it. So direct, let me just read this. Direct, indirect, or no control problems. So direct problems are problems involving our own behavior. Indirect are problems involving others' behavior. No control are problems we can't do nothing about, such as our past or situational reality. Because you can think some people, they dwell on problems that they have no control over. Things that they did in the past, they wish they wouldn't have done, or a situation that's going on and they're just totally outside their room of control. So direct problems. So how do you solve those problems? Problems are solved by working on our habits. So we have direct problems that are maybe in our circle of concern, and we take responsibility of it. We say, hey, this is not things that are causing frustration, whatever. You can say, I'm not empowered to do this. I just need to learn the right skill set, right organizational skill, the right time management skill, whatever the case may be. Indirect problems are problems obviously involving others' behavior. So these problems are solved by changing our method of influence. So this comes with patience. You know, this is definitely related to patience, because patience showing up late, keep showing up late. You're like, man, what can I do? I can't do anything. I can only, let me just discharge this person. But that's not the right answer all the time. You know, you may just need to grow in your ability to influence people. You know, you may need to change your method of influence. Maybe you need to be more empathetic. You know, maybe you need to be more understanding. Maybe you need to develop your listening skills, and by doing that, you can hear something that they're sharing with you that could, you know, influence something, and you can share something with them to shift their attitude. I mean, because I've seen it happen before. In fact, there's a lady, Miss Mincer, that I know Thurman knows Miss Mincer, but Miss Mincer was seeing Ryan. I started seeing Miss Mincer. Miss Mincer wasn't, she had made some progress, but she had got to a place she was static, but she wasn't doing exercise at home. And instead of me just saying, okay, Miss Mincer, it's over, it's done, you know, I just had a heart-to-heart with her. I said, Ms. Mincer, you come to PT, that's one component of it, but you're not gonna get better if, you know, you doing exercise at home. Anyway, I had a good discussion with her. The shift was, okay, going forward, I'm gonna commit to doing my exercises on the basis that you recommend. And after that, her attitude has changed. Since that point forward, she started to get better. She's excited, she's more excited about therapy. And she's seen the progress herself, but it was me deciding to have that influence with her. No control. Take responsibility to change the line on the bottom of our face. You can choose to smile. So choose to smile, to genuinely and peacefully accept these problems and learn to live with them. Because if you have no control over them, the only thing you can do is change your attitude about them and change how they affect you, because you can't change that problem at all. So this is activity, and we'll end on this. So this is something you guys do. We can talk about it next time, or we can talk about it next time briefly if you want to. But select a problem from work or your personal life that is frustrating to you. Then determine, is this a direct problem? Is it indirect, or is it a no control problem? And then identify the first step you can take in your circle of influence to solve it, and then take that step.
Bro, 6 steps up.
I can.
Okay. I heard problems and steps.
Yeah, I can. Cool. Yeah. Guys, it was a pleasure. Thank you for the opportunity to share.
Thank you.
We are rolling in.
All right. Shayna's here. You got it. And I'm gonna do another side of it. You guys move on. Okay. What you got left in that bag too?
Some cheese and a hot dog. Hot dog. Yeah, a half of it. No, I got a half of it.
Oh, okay.
I like
Well, we're going into mentorship now. So like OTs,
Okay.
although I think you're going with peds, right?
Yeah, cause you see some kids.
Tell me what to do with it. And then PT, we're going grouping up. Yes, sir.
Can you log into so I can be a part of what you guys?
Yes, I'll do that. Okay. It doesn't matter where we go here. I'm gonna go grab my phone so I can get Sarah linked in with us. She's on with Thurman, but he's walking over there, so I'm going to go
Yeah,
Are you guys
I go
recording
in
today?
No, Shane
I
is doing
can't.
mentorship.
You are?
I
I don't know, I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
ask, but I didn't know
That's
where to
cool?
go.
Yeah, I good.
Yeah, there you go, you go to 5 minutes.
And you, how long has it been since you read
I
that?
am looking over at the many stuff, I don't know if it's copyright. And
So we are done.
Huh?
So we are done then.
No, we're not, we have something else to do.
So yeah, but the government, he said the government
Oh,
something.
you are.
Right, like, so we're not going back to work yet.
I'll usually get out
Hurry up, I'm gonna follow you.
I'll be able to get off of this one.
I think we go back here.
Yeah, let me hang up on Chris's.
Coming back over here?